Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot, and welcome to your reading for August. So really quick before I jump into the cards, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the transits that we're going to be experiencing this month. We've got a huge emphasis on the 3rd and 9th house for you guys this month, as well as you still hosting the South Node, which has kind of been like this overwhelming theme for a while now. We're getting closer to it being over. We've probably got about 6 or 8 more months with the nodes in the sign. So we're really starting to make progress here. And this is really all about the releasing, right? And it's a really good time. Like, as we're working through these nodes placements and we've got this emphasis on our 9th house, is all about expansion. And I think Sagittarius are being really pushed to kind of expand their mind, expand their possibilities, and it's a big emphasis on changing your thought processes. Now, this is like what all of the big things are built on, right? Our thought processes, our beliefs. So we're overcoming a lot of old stories. When we overcome a lot of old stories, we overcome karmic patterns, we start to heal stuff, and then the new opportunities come in. And there's a really beautiful element of healing here. Now, I just want to remind everybody that we still have all of the outer planets, including Uranus, which goes retrograde in your 6th house this month. It's really gonna ask you to really go within and make some changes. Now, the thing is, in the physical 3D world, it may appear to us like we may perceive things as not really happening. We're on hold. You'll see there's a lot of hangman energy in your cards. We'll talk about it when I put the camera down. But there is definitely like this emphasis of being on hold. We got to work some stuff out, and we got to look at things a little bit differently. We got to shift our perspective, and we have to grow. In a lot of ways, this is kind of like getting on our spiritual journey, kind of surrendering to destiny. So for us, if there's areas in our life that aren't really working, no matter how hard we try to get these things to work, now August is really the time to surrender. It's a good time to look at the bigger picture. What are the other possibilities? What are the other options? How do I make my life better? How do I step into a happier place or a happier period in my life? Now, the emphasis on the 3rd and 9th house can feel stressful if we don't kind of take a spiritual outlook on things. And one of the things that I see that comes into play with these transits is like the whole idea of needing things to work out and needing to be right. And then suddenly we can accept the fact that the quicker we realize we weren't right, the quicker we can make adjustments and kind of get back on the road, right? Like if you're on GPS with your map and you've got it set to go in a certain direction, and all of a sudden you realize that the road is closed, you don't just keep driving down that road, you know? You kind of have to readjust and, okay, well, what is my best option for getting there quickly now? How do I get out of this mess? How do I navigate this to get to a better place? Big emphasis on that this month. And it's really important, I think, more than anything when we have these transits, as we have, you know, Jupiter moving back into your 3rd house, that we learn to communicate our needs a little bit better. We need to communicate in smarter ways, and we need to conquer any negative thought patterns or the way that we even talk to ourselves, probably the way that we relate to others. And we want to release the tension. So it's a good time to really focus on things that keep us centered. Learning how to calm our nerves. This could be a very healing period for us if we allow it to be. If we're not holding on or grasping on to like egos this month. If you are operating from an ego place, if you're in some way exercising some sort of small-mindedness, righteousness of any kind, you could probably expect that stuff to be a little bit humbled. But overall, August is a fantastic month with a lot of promise that we're going to kind of get ourselves out of these holes and habits that we have and break free of them so that we can get on the path to a brighter future. All right, guys, so August is a super month. I'm going to go ahead and put the camera down now so you can follow along as I channel in with the cards, and I will see you in a second. Okay, bye. Okay, Sag, let's take a look at these cards here. So you are coming out this month as the Page of Cups. Now, the thing about this Page of Cups is it kind of speaks to me about the yearning. Okay. Now we've got this person that's kind of seated, meaning they're grounded. There's something rooted in reality here. And yet there's this, feet kind of drifting off the ground as well. And it does indicate to me sometimes of like unrequited love or requited feelings. One person within a scenario is a little bit more grounded and realistic, and the other person probably somewhat romantic or, And it also in some ways indicates to me that maybe you're putting somebody on a pretty high pedestal. Maybe seeing somebody for a little bit more than they actually are. See, right next to this, we've got this pig with wings, like when pigs fly, right? Meaning this isn't like the actual reality. You might be seeing things through rose-colored glasses, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like sometimes we have to experience this because sometimes this is the universe's way of kind of opening our heart, And because your environment is that of the Hanged Man, and we definitely have this Hangman here, so there's kind of a feeling of you being suspended, right? The Hangman is definitely stuck. Like he's not in control. There's nothing he could do to kind of change the scenario, right? I mean, if you're hanging in some sort of like suspension, you're really not in control about how the rest of the situation, how it's all going to play out. Generally, when I get the Hangman energy, it's because something or someone that you truly want isn't quite picking the same path as you. You might be waiting for somebody to like make a commitment, or waiting for somebody to call you back or make the next set of plans, and nothing really seems to be moving in the direction that you want it to move in. But see, when we get the Hangman, this is kind of like the universe doing you a favor. Like this freeze in time and progress is for your benefit, so that you could see things from a clearer perspective. Now, we have this Page of Swords, and then we have this Ten of Wands. And for some reason, like these two cards here are really irritating me. Like really, really, like just irritating me. I get the Page of Swords as kind of being like, just sharp energy. Now, it could be you. It could be another person. I see a couple different scenarios here. Because the Page of Cups ultimately, and I don't mean this like as an insult, but it can get you in some trouble, right? Because it does depict a level of like emotional immaturity. Now, if something is brand new, like you're entering a brand new relationship, right? Page of Wands can be like very romantic and very open and very curious, like the heart just kind of starting to open. And to me, the Page of Swords is probably some sort of conversation, some kind of opinion, or, you know, some sort of scenario that makes you kind of really rethink this. Okay, well, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe this person isn't what I was hoping they would be. But the thing about the Page of Swords is that he's like almost like hyper aware. So you want to be careful that you're not like oversensitive this month. Okay? You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you like instantly put a nail in the coffin, especially if something is super brand new. So you want to be careful that you're not oversensitive to somebody saying something and you're like, oh my God, you mean you're like a Democrat or you're a Republican? Oh my God, I can't date you anymore. Like, you have to be careful there. And in the Page of Swords, because I'm getting this feeling of hypervigilance, getting this feeling of the need to protect yourself, like there's something that you truly want and yet may not come in exactly how you had hoped or as smoothly or as quickly as you hoped. It may not hold as big of a commitment, but it is getting you somewhere. Because the Ten of Wands is like this burden we cannot carry any longer, but it also represents the end of a journey, the end of a struggle. Like you're on the finish line. And it does tell me that you should probably be careful about how you like wield this sword this month. Like I wouldn't spend a lot of time being like overly defensive, right? If people are saying or doing things that are irritating, it's probably best to understand that they're just mirrors of like your stuff. If you meet somebody and you're hoping to want a bigger commitment or some sort of a guarantee that they're in it for the long run or that they have the best of intentions, the situation's probably coming up to teach you how to let go, right? The Hangman. This is an invitation to let go of your expectations, because your expectations are what is making this so hard to cross the threshold. So we have all this stuff going on this month, like, and it will be irritating, right? Especially as we have Jupiter moving back into your third house, trying to really cement some of the bigger lessons. Like, these things aren't new things. This stuff has been going on, you know, since January of this year. These little irritants, these changes, these things that are not working out. And it's because you have to change your approach. Because the only one that's hurting you is you, with all the expectations of how it has to go and how it has to be. Because underneath this Hangman, we have this Nine of Swords and this Nine of Cups. And there's like such a contrast between these two energies. Sometimes I get stress and grief from the Nine of Swords. And then sometimes, like, I'm more drawn to him kind of covering up his face. And to me, these two cards can always be like very egoic. There might be, and it's definitely like an overwhelming message this month of like the need to humble ourselves in some way, like the need to admit that maybe we're wrong, the need to admit that maybe this isn't what we thought it was in the first place. Because sometimes we have like, especially you, Sag, hosting the South Node in your sign, like there's probably a lot of karmic stuff, or maybe even just one thing in your life, and you're like, no, like it's got to go this way. I just know this is meant to be, when really the universe is definitely indicating to you this is not how it's supposed to be. And you could stay here in this Nine of Swords. You can get stuck. You can try to force it to go your way. But really, ultimately, the freedom is in the release. It's in the acceptance of what this really is about. And it definitely means that the only way down off of this rope, right, is by releasing it. Not allowing it to have control over you. Look at this Nine of Swords, this 10 of Wands, like these are all illusions. Illusions that you can't survive if this doesn't work out, or you're going to be embarrassed or lose face in some way if this thing doesn't work out. Like maybe this is somebody that you said, oh my God, I just know this is a person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with, and then it turns out like they're really not, right? Knight of Wands in reverse, they're not. And what's more important to you? Like, what's going to bring you emotional fulfillment? Trying to force this thing to be something it isn't? Or accepting that, like, you deserve more? That's what I get with this Nine of Cups. Like, acknowledging that you deserve more. And let's not forget that the Nine of Cups, like, he already has everything he wants and needs. He already has this abundance. Like, this is just ego. This is just your ego saying you didn't get what you want. And really, you didn't need it in the first place. Sometimes I pick up a little bit of greediness with this Nine of Cups. But you really do have to accept that the things that aren't working out, the things that are making you feel off balance this month and uneasy, probably just aren't meant to be what you think they're meant to be. We could put such an emphasis on certain people and the roles they play in our lives, and it's so hard to just simply look at this and be like, wow, this was a major period of growth for me. I mean, soul contracts aren't always meant to be like forever. And me personally, I'd rather the thing not work out sooner than later, right? I'd rather be honest about what this truly is, because that means that I've reached this point in my journey where I'm confident about my intuition. Because that's what the Hangman is all about. It's about waiting around until you can trust your intuition. This is ego. This is intuition. You know that there's stuff in your life. You know that you're worthy. Like, this is a very noble card. This is you knowing that you want and deserve like the big stuff. Not a Knight of Wands in reverse. Like, it can't be any clearer. Like, look here, we have Knight of Wands in reverse, which is always like an opportunistic energy for me. This is somebody that kind of floats in and out of your life. Probably somebody that fulfills, more likely, you know, especially next to the Devil, it kind of just fulfills a physical need. or an egotistical need, right? Like this is like that really good looking partner that you like to post that you're with on social media, but really when the two of you are together, there's like absolutely nothing to talk about, no emotional connection whatsoever. And the thing is, like, I think this thing, even if it is brand new, is just like another bad habit. And I think you're starting to recognize that this is like a pattern or a cycle, right? South Node in your sign means you've got to confront those old comfort zones. They're not going to work for you anymore. We have to grow out of the comfort zone, move into that North Node. North Node, your 7th house, means like making space so that the correct partner can come in. Now underneath we have this Page of Swords, and it says your commitment is being tested. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely testing energy. That's what I mean. Like you're being tested. The universe is testing you. This might just be like one person that like you really, really think you want to be with. And yet like every time you're with them, there's like a conversation or they say something and you're like, what? Like, that's not how I want the rest of my life to go, or that's not how I want this scenario to go. But I think it's going to become obvious that you have to choose yourself, right? The commitment is not ever to anybody else except yourself first. And then we have magnetic South Pole. It is acceptable not to know. Mystery is a part of life. Acceptance allows me to begin to grow. So if you went into something thinking you knew exactly where this was going or where this was headed, or it was just definitely going to be like this long-term forever thing, and it turns out to not be, that scenario in itself is absolutely and completely okay. And this is probably like a really cool soulmate or a really cool karmic contract that you had with somebody that was really not meant to be long-term anyways. But it was there to kind of push you off this edge into this spiritual growth journey. Because that's what this is all about. See, we're confronting the bad habits. We're confronting our ego or our need to make it work or make it right. Like for some reason, there's always like an element of shame in finding out that relationships aren't working out. Like that's why we spend so much time struggling or trying to make the wrong things work, right? Because we don't want to be perceived as a failure. This is like not what the universe wants you to do. That's not how you're supposed to live. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about being happy. And we have this 9. Look at, we've got 9 here, and a card number 27 breaking down to a 9 right underneath. And that card is breathe. It's time to take a breath. It's time to like really like breathe this situation, this scenario out of your body. I actually feel like a physical release. Almost as if you're giving yourself permission to let go. To let go of this because you simply have faith that the better thing is coming. And here we have the Knight of Wands in reverse, card number 19, which breaks down to a 10. Here we have a 10 here. The Dragon's Lair. See, this Knight of Wands is kind of like I said, like this perfect karmic contract partner, shitty boss, crappy friend, irritating coworker. And it's supposed to be like that catalyst that says, shit, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not doing this again. I have got to break this bad habit that I have. Sometimes a bad habit is just admitting that we didn't know, we took a risk and it didn't work out. Because devil energy is going to make you like really obsessive. It's going to make you really push to make this Knight of Wands something he's not. Nobody's happy in that scenario. That Knight of Wands is not here for your greatest good. Like, he may be a catalyst for growth, but he's not going to do the growing with you. And I get the sense that this is kind of like the end of your journey with these Knight of Wands characters. I get a sense that maybe this is like that one that really pushes you to change the way that you see yourself, right? The Hanged Man energy, the universe is saying, hold on, you got to see that you're worth more. Because now it's about the bigger picture. Yeah, maybe this person was okay for the minute. Maybe it was cool to be with this person, but now you're starting to see them for who they truly are. You're starting to see their intentions clearly. And the truth is, their intentions have very little to do with your self-worth. We have this Devil card, and then we have this Winter's Dream gestation period card number 63, which is yet again another 9. Like, there's a lot of 9s here. And to me, 9s are about mastery. It's about that final push. It's about closing that out before the new comes in. You know, when you look at even like the wheel in astrology, like the last house, the 12th house, the Pisces house, is always about the surrender and the letting go, because ultimately we're making space for the new thing to come in. Like, we're letting the universe know that we didn't order this up. This doesn't fit that thing that we wanted. We're not going to fantasize. We're not going to put on our rose-colored glasses and just pretend this is something that it's not. And this might be just a bad habit because you don't want to be alone. This could be a bad habit because you feel like other people are going to judge you, dealing with your own sense of failure or unworthiness in some way. But the universe is definitely asking you to take a break, because clearly there's something new that's growing beneath the surface. Like, the universe wants to give you this new thing that kind of represents who you are now. But it can't do that until you start to understand who you are now. You start to understand your worthiness. You overcome this obstacle and release it. Now, your underlying energy, we've got the Hanged Man again with the Magician and the Justice card. See, and the Queen of Wands. In the end, this is really truly all about your self-worth. Okay? And the Magician tells me that in the in-between time, between realizing that this thing isn't working, you get to kind of lay out the new plans. I get the feeling like some of you are even like writing a list. These are the qualities I want, right? Like, maybe we weren't picky enough. Maybe we just wanted somebody to like fulfill this role, and the person that came next was just kind of it. And now we go back, because remember, all those planets are retrograde. We're all doing the inside work. It's inside work. And the Magician is like, okay, now, because of all of these experiences that I've had, because of this Knight of Wands energy in reverse, I'm going to revise how I ask the universe for my next thing. You know, I want them to be emotionally available. I want them to be loving. I want them to be loyal. I want them to respect me. And the thing is, you're going to get exactly what you're asking for, because that's how the universe works. So this was a lesson for you to learn how to ask for more. Because the Justice card is a depiction that something here needs to be balanced. Again, this Knight of Wands, this is not sustainable. This 10 of Wands, not sustainable. 9 of Swords, definitely not sustainable energy. You have to make the move to bring the balance back in your life. This is all about the self-worth, the motivation. Like, look at this Queen of Wands. She certainly isn't going to deal with a Knight of Wands in and out energy. She knows her worth. She attracts it to her, the higher quality partners. And the Knight of Wands in reverse is always going to make you feel this 10 of Pentacles in reverse. It's always going to make you feel like you're insecure. Like there's no stable ground. There's no foundation here. And the universe is demanding to bring you balance and to even the score. But you have to cooperate. You have to move out of this energy. You can't stay here with your rose-colored glasses. You've got to see this for what it is and be brave enough to move on. Okay? No more Knight of Wands, Sag. I feel like we've been talking about this for a little while now. We're really going to do it this time. I really feel like the next couple of months is where the big stuff's going to happen. And we just have to want better and believe that the universe is bringing it to us. We'll know it. Okay, Queen of Wands, she knows it. She's intuitive. She knows when the right one comes along. And I think you know this isn't it. All right, Sag. Really awesome reading. I see a lot of really positive growth here. I love you guys so much. I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful August, and I will be talking to you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.